The bridge of the human battleship was quiet. Commander Jake Morrison stood near the main screen watching the empty space ahead. The ship was called UN's Valiant, and it was the biggest warship that humans had ever built. For 3 months they had been flying through the outer edge of known space. Nothing interesting had happened yet. Lieutenant Sarah Blake sat at her station. Her fingers moved quickly over the glowing controls. She was checking the long-range sensors like she did every hour. Suddenly her eyes went wide. Something new appeared on her screen. "Commander, I am seeing something strange on the sensors. There is a ship out there. It does not match anything in our database. I have never seen this design before." Morrison walked over to her station. He looked at the screen carefully. He was 45 years old and had spent most of his life in space. He had trained for many years, but this was different. This was what everyone had been waiting for. They were about to meet aliens. Follow the first contact rules. Blake, send them a greeting message on all frequencies. Grant, turn on the weapons but keep them powered down. We do not want to scare them. Ensign Peter Grant nodded and started working on his controls. The weapon systems came online but stayed quiet. They were ready but not threatening. The alien ship appeared on the main viewing screen. Everyone on the bridge stopped talking. The ship was beautiful. It had smooth curves that flowed like water. It looked more like art than a machine. The human ship looked rough and blocky next to it. The Valiant was built for war. The alien ship looked like it was built for beauty. Captain Helen Carter walked onto the bridge. She had been sleeping, but someone had woken her up when the alien ship appeared. Her gray eyes looked sharp and awake. She was the kind of person who could wake up fast and think clearly right away. "What is happening, Commander?" "Unknown ship about 2,000 kilometers away. We sent them greeting messages, but they have not answered yet. They are just sitting there, not moving." Blake suddenly sat up straight in her chair. "Captain, they are scanning us. The energy signature shows they are doing a deep scan. They are not just looking at our outer hull. They are trying to read everything inside our ship. All our systems, all our technology." Carter looked at Morrison. They both knew what this meant. The Valiant was built in secret. Every weapon, every system, every piece of technology on the ship was top secret. The governments of Earth had spent decades building this ship. Nobody was supposed to know how advanced it really was. Let them scan us. "Grant, how long until we can track their scan back to find its source?" The young man worked quickly on his console. 30 seconds, Captain. "But this technology is amazing. They are using something called quantum entanglement for their scans. I have never seen anything like this before. Keep working on it." "Blake, have they answered our greeting messages?" "No, Captain. They are completely silent. The only thing we can detect from them is the scanning energy." Carter thought about what to do next. The aliens were being rude. You did not scan another ship without permission. That was considered hostile. But maybe they had different rules. Maybe they did not know it was rude. The humans did not know what was happening on the alien ship. If they could see inside, they would understand why the aliens were so quiet. The alien science officer was panicking. His name was difficult to pronounce in human language, but it sounded something like Thalrix. He was staring at his screens in shock. The scan results were impossible. The human ship should not exist. Humans had only recently learned how to travel faster than light. They were supposed to be primitive. They should have basic technology, simple weapons, nothing special. But the scan showed something completely different. The human ship had technology that was thousands of years ahead of where it should be. The power generators alone were more advanced than anything most alien races had. The weapons were even more shocking. Thalrix called for his commander. Commander Vexlar came over quickly. He could see the fear on his science officer's face. "What is wrong?" "Sir, the scan results. This human ship, it has technology that should not exist. Their power systems are using zero-point energy. That is technology only the most advanced races have. And their weapons, Commander, they have weaponized gravity itself. That is not possible. Humans are new to space travel. They barely have fusion power." "Are you sure the scan is correct?" "I have checked 3 times, Commander. The results are accurate. This changes everything we thought we knew about this species." Vexillar felt worry growing in his chest. His species, the Zynthians, had been exploring space for 10,000 years. They had met hundreds of alien races. They knew how technology developed. There were rules, patterns that never changed. Young races had simple technology. Old races had advanced technology. It always worked that way. But humans were breaking those rules. They were too advanced, too quickly. That meant something was wrong. Either humans had stolen this technology from someone else, or they had developed in a way that should be impossible. Back on the Valiant, alarms started ringing. The sound was loud and urgent. Captain, their scan just changed. It went from passive to active. They are trying to break through our security systems. They want to see our classified information. Morrison pulled up a tactical display showing the positions of both ships. Captain, I recommend we respond. This is getting aggressive. Carter nodded slowly. I agree. Blake, open a communication channel on all frequencies. Grant, prepare defensive measures but do not activate them yet. Let us try to talk to them first. Channel is open, Captain. Carter's voice was firm and clear. Unknown vessel. This is Captain Helen Carter of the United Nations ship Valiant. You are actively scanning our vessel without permission. This is considered a hostile act under our laws. Please respond and tell us what you want. For several seconds, there was only silence. Everyone on the bridge waited. Then the communication system crackled to life. The voice that came through spoke perfect English, but it sounded strange. There was an odd harmonic quality to it, like two voices speaking at once. Human vessel, this is Commander Vexillar of the Zynthian collective scout ship Ethereal Dawn. We apologize for the intrusion. We are following our standard first contact procedures. Your vessel's specifications are unexpected. We need more data to properly classify your species. Carter and Morrison looked at each other. The alien commander sounded uncertain, maybe even worried. That was interesting. Usually when you met someone new, you tried to sound confident and strong. But this alien sounded nervous. Commander Vexillar, we welcome peaceful contact with your people. However, the specifications of our vessel are classified information. We are willing to share basic information about our civilization, but detailed scans of our military ships are not acceptable. Do you understand? Another pause. When the alien commander spoke again, his voice had changed. Now he sounded desperate. Captain Carter, with respect, you do not understand the situation. Your vessel should not exist. Your species should not have this level of technology. According to all our models, you should be thousands of years away from developing these systems. We must understand how you acquired technologies that are restricted to the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. Carter smiled slightly, though the aliens could not see it. Commander, humanity has a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Perhaps your models do not account for a species that spent thousands of years fighting itself. We became very good at finding new ways to fight. When we finally stopped fighting each other and looked to the stars, we brought all that knowledge with us. Blake interrupted urgently. Captain, the alien ship is powering up weapons. I am reading multiple energy signatures. Carter's expression became serious and hard. Commander Vexillar, I strongly advise against hostile action. Power down your weapons immediately. Forgive me, Captain, but if you truly possess what our scans indicate, you represent a threat to the galactic order. I am required to neutralize that threat. Carter let out a slow breath. Grant, activate defensive measures. All hands go to battle stations. Morrison, you have tactical command. Show them what we can do. The Valiant came alive with power. Systems that had been sleeping suddenly woke up. The ship was ready for war. The alien ship fired first. Bright streams of plasma shot out from the ethereal dawn. The weapons moved at almost the speed of light. They were designed to destroy any normal spaceship instantly. The targeting computers had locked onto the Valiant's power generators. If the plasma hit, the human ship would be vaporized, but the plasma never reached the Valiant. Point defense system is active. Grant's voice was calm as he watched his screens. All around the Valiant, thousands of tiny guns came to life. They were so small you could barely see them on the hull. But each one fired metal slugs no bigger than a grain of rice. The slugs moved incredibly fast, almost as fast as the plasma weapons. The plasma torpedoes exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The tiny metal bullets had hit them perfectly. Every single torpedo was destroyed before it could reach the ship. The explosions lit up space like fireworks. Their shields are down. Blake's voice was tight with controlled excitement. The electromagnetic pulse from the explosions disrupted their defensive systems. They have no protection right now. Morrison studied the tactical display carefully. He had trained his whole life for situations like this. He knew exactly what to do. Captain, I recommend we show them what we can do without destroying their ship. A warning shot would be appropriate. Carter agreed with a nod. Good idea. Grant, pick a target. One of their sensor arrays. Use the graviton lance, but keep it on the lowest power setting. Yes, Captain. The graviton lance is charged and ready. Target locked. Firing now. There was no bright beam of light. There was no explosion. Nothing that looked dramatic happened at all. But on the alien ship, one of the large sensor dishes simply disappeared. It was not blown up. It was not melted. It just stopped existing. One moment it was there. The next moment there was empty space where it used to be. On the ethereal dawn, panic spread through the crew. Alarms were ringing everywhere. Crew members were shouting reports at each other, trying to understand what had just happened. Shields have failed completely. Sensor Array 3 is gone. The structural integrity field is holding, but it is very weak now. The reports kept coming as Vexlar stared at his displays. He could not believe what he was seeing. How did they do that? Dalrix was checking and rechecking his instruments. His hands were shaking. Commander, I tried to warn you. They manipulated gravity. They compressed space and time at the location of our sensor array. They created a micro black hole. It only existed for less than a billionth of a second, but that was enough. The array was not destroyed, Commander. It was consumed by a tiny black hole. Vexlar felt cold fear spreading through his body. Black holes were things you found in nature, near dying stars. They were not weapons. They could not be weapons. The amount of energy and control needed to create even a tiny black hole was beyond imagination. The human voice came through the communication system again. Commander Vexlar, that was a warning. Power down all your weapons immediately, or the next shot will target your main reactor. You have 10 seconds to comply. Vexlar's pride told him to keep fighting. The Xinthian Collective had been the dominant power in this part of space for thousands of years. They were the ones who decided which species were advanced enough to join the galactic community. They were the ones who made the rules. To surrender to these primitive humans was unthinkable. But that weapon had just created a black hole. A controlled, targeted black hole. If they fired it at the reactor, his entire ship and crew would be gone in an instant. Not destroyed, gone. Erased from existence. Turn off all weapons. Stand down immediately. His crew looked at him in shock. They had never surrendered before. But they followed his orders. The weapon signatures on the ethereal dawn disappeared one by one. On the Valiant, the tension on the bridge decreased slightly. Everyone had been holding their breath. Now they could breathe again. That was a wise choice, Commander. Now let us start this conversation over. You wanted to understand how we developed our technology. Perhaps if you had asked politely instead of demanding and threatening, we would have been happy to explain. Humanity learned an important lesson over thousands of years of history. Cooperation works better than force. Vexlar's voice was quiet and humble now. All the arrogance was gone. Captain Carter, I must report what happened here to the collective leadership. They will want to meet with your government. This encounter changes everything we thought we knew about your species. We expected that you would want to report this. But Commander, before you send that message, think carefully about how you describe what happened. You scanned our ship without permission. You decided we were a threat based on your assumptions. Then you attacked a peaceful vessel that was only defending itself. How do you think your leaders will react when they learn you attacked a civilization that could have destroyed you, but chose mercy instead? The silence that followed was long and heavy. Vexlar understood what the human captain was saying. If he reported this as a failed military engagement, he would be blamed for starting a war with a powerful enemy. His career would be over. Maybe worse. You make a good point, Captain. Perhaps I should report this as a successful first contact instead of a military incident. But I must know something. Why did you show mercy? You could have destroyed us and kept your technology secret. Why did you let us live? Carter smiled, even though the alien could not see her face. Because, Commander, humanity learned another important lesson during our long and violent history. Today's enemy can become tomorrow's friend. We did not come to space to conquer other species. We came to find our place among the other intelligent races of the universe. We carry powerful weapons, yes, but violence is not our first choice. We prefer peace. Morrison leaned close to Carter and whispered so quietly that only she could hear. Though we are very good at violence when we need to be, Carter had to stop herself from laughing. Morrison was right. Humans had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of war. Every weapon system on the Valiant was the result of countless battles, endless innovation, and hard lessons learned in blood. Humanity knew how to fight better than almost anything in the universe, but they also knew that fighting was not always the answer. Sometimes the strongest thing you could do was choose not to fight. Commander Vexillar, here is what I propose. You send your report to your leaders. Tell them you made first contact with humanity. Tell them we have advanced technology. Tell them we are interested in peaceful relations with the galactic community. And tell them that we defended ourselves when attacked, but chose to spare your ship and crew. I think that is an honest report that reflects well on everyone involved. Vexillar was quiet for a moment, thinking. That is acceptable, Captain. I will send such a report. And I will recommend that the collective send diplomatic representatives to meet with your government. This is too important for military officers to handle alone. Excellent. We will send word to Earth immediately. I am sure our diplomats will be excited to meet your people. In the meantime, Commander, if your ship needs any assistance with repairs, we would be happy to help. That is generous of you, Captain. We can manage our repairs, but we appreciate the offer. It shows good faith. After the communication ended, Carter turned to her crew. Good work, everyone. Blake, send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we made first contact. Tell them it got complicated, but we handled it. Morrison, keep our weapons ready but powered down. Let us hope the diplomatic talks go better than this first meeting did. Morrison nodded. Captain, do you think they will accept us peacefully, or will they see us as a threat that needs to be controlled? Carter looked at the alien ship on the viewing screen. It was slowly moving away, limping through space with its damaged sensors and weakened shields. That is a good question, Commander. I guess we will find out soon. But one thing is certain. They know now that humanity is not going to be pushed around. We have earned their respect even if we had to do it the hard way. Grant spoke up from his station. Captain, if I may say something, that was incredible. I have been training on these weapon systems for 2 years, but I never really understood their power until now. We just created a black hole and used it as a weapon. That is science fiction level technology. Carter smiled at the young officer. Everything is science fiction until someone builds it, Grant. Humanity has always been good at turning impossible dreams into reality. That is what makes us special. We refuse to accept limits. When someone tells us something cannot be done, we take that as a challenge. Blake looked up from her console. Captain, the message has been sent to Earth. They should receive it in about 6 hours. What do we do until then? We wait, Lieutenant. We stay alert, and we hope that the next aliens we meet are more interested in talking than fighting. But just in case, keep those sensors active. Morrison, run a full diagnostic on all weapon systems. If more ships show up, I want to be ready. The bridge crew went back to work. The excitement was over, but the tension remained. They had just fired the first shots in what might become humanity's first interstellar conflict. Or they might have just made humanity's first alien friends. Only time would tell which path they were on. Carter sat in her command chair and thought about what had just happened. In less than an hour, everything had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They had met and 3 weeks passed after the encounter with the alien ship. The Valiant stayed at the coordinates that Commander Vexillar had given them. Captain Carter and her crew waited patiently. Earth had sent a team of diplomats to handle the negotiations with the aliens. The team was led by Ambassador Patricia Green. Patricia Green was in her 60s with silver hair and sharp eyes that noticed everything. She had spent 30 years negotiating peace treaties on Earth. She had helped unite the warring nations into a single planetary government. If anyone could handle negotiations with aliens, it was her. The alien fleet arrived without warning. One moment space was empty. The next moment 30 alien ships appeared. They came out of hyperspace in a coordinated display that was clearly meant to impress. Each ship was larger than the Valiant. Their hulls shimmered with defensive energy fields that bent light around them. That is quite a show. Morrison spoke dryly as he watched the alien fleet position itself around the Valiant. Ambassador Green smiled slightly. She was standing on the bridge next to Captain Carter. They are nervous. That is good. Nervous people negotiate more carefully. They make fewer demands when they are unsure of themselves. The largest alien ship opened a communication channel. The face that appeared on the main screen looked similar to Vexillar but older. The glowing patterns on his skin were more elaborate, indicating high rank in their society. I am High Arbiter Kelthas of the Zynthian Collective. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome humanity to the greater community of intelligent species. We apologize for the unfortunate incident with Scout Commander Vexillar. His actions were premature and not authorized by the Council. Green nodded graciously. High Arbiter, I am Ambassador Patricia Green, representing the United Nations of Earth. We appreciate your welcome and we accept your apology. However, I think we should address the real issue here. Your scout ship scanned our vessel and discovered our technological capabilities. That apparently surprised you. We are here to discuss what that means for future relations between our peoples. The patterns on Kelthus's skin flickered, showing his unease. Indeed, Ambassador, the Galactic Council has governed this region of space for over 50,000 years. We have established clear protocols for integrating new species based on their level of development. Your species presents an unprecedented situation that does not fit our protocols, because we have technologies that you believe we should not possess yet. Green stated it plainly, not as a question but as a fact. Precisely. The natural progression of technology follows predictable patterns across all known species. Your graviton weapons, zero-point energy systems, and quantum computers should require millions of years of peaceful development to achieve. Yet you accomplished this in less than 10,000 years while your planet was divided into competing nations that fought constant wars. Green leaned forward in her seat. High Arbiter, perhaps your models are incomplete. You assume that technological development requires peace. Humanity's experience suggests the opposite. Conflict drives innovation. Competition breeds excellence. For thousands of years, humans competed against other humans. We pushed boundaries. We refused to accept limitations. When we finally united, we had accumulated vast knowledge earned through struggle. We did not develop in spite of our conflicts. We developed because of them. That knowledge includes weapons that rival anything the Council possesses. Weapons that were demonstrated against Scout Commander Vexlar's vessel. The Council is deeply concerned about what humanity might do with such capabilities. We must consider the safety of all species in this region of space. Captain Carter spoke up. High Arbiter, if I may. The Valiant could have easily destroyed the ethereal dawn. We had the capability and the tactical advantage, but we chose not to. We disabled one sensor array and then offered to talk. That choice should tell you everything you need to know about humanity's intentions. We prefer peace when possible. The patterns on Kelthus's skin pulsed as he considered this. A single act of mercy is commendable, Captain. But it is not sufficient evidence of long-term peaceful intentions. The Council requires stronger assurances before we can accept humanity as a member of the galactic community. What kind of assurances are you asking for? Green's voice was calm but firm. We require access to your weapons technology for analysis and regulation by the Council. We need limitations placed on your military expansion into space, and we need your acceptance of Council oversight in all aspects of your space exploration program. The bridge of the Valiant fell completely silent. Everyone understood what the alien was really asking for. He wanted humanity to surrender its independence, to give up control of its own defense, to become subjects of the alien council rather than equals. Green's expression hardened. Her voice became cold and sharp. High Arbiter, let me be absolutely clear about something. Humanity did not spend 10,000 years fighting its way out of caves, surviving diseases, overcoming natural disasters, and finally achieving spaceflight, just to surrender our independence to an alien government. We are willing to cooperate with the Council. We are willing to share knowledge. We are willing to participate in galactic affairs, but we will not be subjugated. We will not give up our sovereignty. The alien diplomat's patterns flickered with what might have been surprise or concern. Ambassador, you misunderstand the purpose of the Council. We do not subjugate species. We maintain order throughout the galaxy. We prevent conflicts between different civilizations. We regulate dangerous technologies that could threaten all life. Without our guidance and rules, the galaxy would descend into chaos and war. Green smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. High Arbiter, I have spent my entire career negotiating with governments and organizations that claimed they were maintaining order while actually maintaining their own power and control. I recognize the pattern. Here is humanity's counteroffer. We will join your Galactic Council as equal members with full voting rights, not as subordinate subjects. We will share technological knowledge on a fair and reciprocal basis, where both sides benefit. We will honor all existing treaties and territorial boundaries that the Council has established, but we will maintain complete control of our military forces and our territory. These terms are not negotiable. That is completely unacceptable. Kelthus's voice was firm and final. No species has ever joined the Council without first accepting regulation of their military technology. The rules exist for good reasons. We cannot make exceptions. Then humanity will be the first exception, or we can end these negotiations right now and go our separate ways. The galaxy is large enough for both our civilizations to exist without interfering with each other, though I suspect both our peoples would benefit more from cooperation than from isolation. The choice is yours, High Arbiter. The alien diplomat's skin pattern swirled in obvious agitation. He was clearly not used to being challenged. After a long, tense silence, he spoke again. His voice was harder now, almost threatening. I must consult with the full council before making any decision. This matter is far beyond my individual authority, but Ambassador, you should understand something important. The Council has enforced its regulations for 50,000 years across hundreds of star systems. Many species have tried to resist our requirements. All of them eventually complied with our rules. All of them. Green's smile did not waver. She looked completely confident. High Arbiter, those other species did not have weapons that scared your council enough to send 30 warships to a simple diplomatic meeting. I think humanity's position is somewhat unique in galactic history. Take all the time you need to consult with your council. We will be here waiting when you are ready to negotiate with us as equals rather than as subjects. The communication ended abruptly. The alien face disappeared from the screen. The 30 ships remained in position around the Valiant, but they did not move closer or make any threatening gestures. Morrison let out a breath he had been holding. Ambassador, that was either brilliant or completely insane. Possibly both. Do you really think they will accept our terms? Green turned to look at him. Commander, they do not have much choice. They have two options. They can accept humanity as equals, which means changing their rules for the first time in 50,000 years. Or they can try to force us to comply, which means going to war with a species that has weapons they do not fully understand and cannot defend against. Neither option is attractive to them. But one option leads to peace and cooperation. The other leads to a war they might not win. I am betting they will choose peace. Carter spoke quietly. And if they choose war, then we fight, and we make sure Earth is ready. The Valiant is not alone. We have 30 more battleships in various stages of construction. Our shipyards are producing new vessels constantly. If they want war, we will give them war. But I do not think they want that. They are bureaucrats and administrators. They maintain order through rules and regulations, not through military force. They are not used to dealing with species that refuse to be intimidated. Blake looked up from her console. Ambassador, Captain, I am picking up a lot of communication traffic between the alien ships. They are definitely talking to someone far away, probably their council headquarters. Good. Let them talk. Let them argue. Let them realize that 5 days of waiting had passed. The Valiant stayed in position while the alien fleet remained nearby. Ambassador Green spent the time reviewing everything humanity knew about the Xinthian Collective and the Galactic Council. Captain Carter kept the crew alert and ready for anything. Morrison ran constant drills to make sure the weapons would work perfectly if needed. On the 6th day, High Arbiter Kelthus contacted the Valiant again. His face appeared on the main screen. The glowing patterns on his skin were dimmer than before, showing signs of stress and exhaustion. Ambassador Green, Captain Carter, the Galactic Council has reached a decision after extensive deliberation. We invite you to attend a formal session at the Council chambers to hear our response to your proposal. Green nodded calmly, though inside she felt her heart racing. We accept your invitation, High Arbiter. When and where should we meet? We will provide coordinates for the Council station. It orbits a neutron star in the galactic core region. The journey will take 3 days at maximum safe hyperspace speed. We will escort your vessel to ensure safe passage. That is acceptable. We are ready to depart whenever you are. 3 days later, the Valiant arrived at the Council station. The structure was enormous, easily 100 times larger than the biggest space station humans had ever built. It was a perfect sphere covered in gleaming metal that seemed to absorb and reflect light at the same time. Thousands of ships from hundreds of different species were docked at various ports around its surface. Morrison whistled softly. Now that is impressive. I did not realize the Council was this large. Carter studied the station carefully. Size is not everything, Commander. But yes, this shows they have resources and organization. Let us hope they also have wisdom. Ambassador Green, Captain Carter, and Commander Morrison traveled to the station in a small shuttle. They wore formal diplomatic uniforms. Morrison and 2 security officers accompanied them, though they left their weapons on the Valiant as a sign of good faith. The council chamber was massive. It was shaped like an amphitheater with seats rising in circular tiers. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the space. Some looked humanoid. Others were completely alien, with forms that defied easy description. The noise was incredible. Voices, clicks, whistles, and sounds that humans had no names for all mixed together. Green, Carter, and Morrison were led to a platform at the center of the chamber. It was clearly designed for new species being presented to the council. High Arbiter Kelthus stood at an elevated podium above them. The chamber fell silent as Kelthus began to speak. His voice was amplified to reach everyone. Honored representatives of the Galactic Council, today we witness a historic moment. For the first time in 50,000 years, we welcome a species not through our traditional integration process, but as immediate equals. Humanity has demonstrated both technological capability and diplomatic wisdom. After considerable debate, the Council has voted to accept humanity's proposed terms. The chamber erupted in reaction. Some species showed obvious approval. Others displayed clear disapproval. The older civilizations seemed particularly upset. Some of the younger species looked excited and hopeful, as if humanity's success might mean opportunities for them as well. Kelthus waited for the noise to settle before continuing. The decision was not unanimous. Many on the council have concerns, but the majority agreed that humanity's unique situation requires a unique response. We choose cooperation over confrontation. Green stepped forward when given permission to speak. High Arbiter, honored representatives, humanity is grateful for this opportunity. We come to the council not seeking dominance or special treatment. We seek partnership and mutual benefit. Our history has taught us difficult lessons about the costs of war and the benefits of peace. We offer to share those lessons with any species interested in hearing them. A representative from one of the founding species stood up. It was a being that looked like it was made of crystalline structures held together by some invisible force. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. Ambassador Green, you speak of partnership and peace, yet you refuse to submit your weapons to council oversight. How can we trust a species that clings to such destructive power? How do we know you will not use those weapons against other council members? Green met the alien's gaze without hesitation. Representative, trust is earned through actions over time, not through regulations and restrictions. Humanity has possessed weapons capable of destroying our entire civilization. For over a century, we had these weapons long before we developed spaceflight. We did not use them. We learned to control our destructive impulses through wisdom and restraint, not through disarmament. Those weapons kept the peace on Earth through the threat of mutual destruction, until we finally learned better ways to resolve our differences. That is a dangerous philosophy. The crystalline being's voice carried disapproval. It suggests that weapons themselves can create peace. That is contrary to everything the Council stands for. Perhaps it is dangerous, Green acknowledged. But it is our philosophy, forged through thousands of years of conflict and hard lessons. We do not claim it is the only correct path. We do not suggest other species should follow our example. We simply offer it as proof that a species can hold great power without abusing that power, if they have sufficient wisdom and self-control. Commander Vexlar stood up from his position in the Zynthian delegation. The officer who had first encountered the Valiant asked to speak. If I may address the assembly, I was the first of our species to encounter humanity's military capability. I made the serious mistake of viewing their advanced technology as an immediate threat that needed to be eliminated. In response to my attack, they demonstrated both their overwhelming power and their remarkable restraint. They could have destroyed my ship and killed my entire crew in seconds. Instead, they disabled one sensor array, offered to cease hostilities, and engaged in diplomatic dialogue. That decision saved my crew and opened the door to this historic moment we are experiencing now. A murmur of surprise ran through the assembly. Many representatives had not heard this part of the story. Vexlar continued speaking. I have spent considerable time studying humanity since that encounter. They are contradictory by nature, capable of both terrible violence and profound compassion. But they are fundamentally pragmatic. They understand that cooperation produces better outcomes than conflict. I believe they will prove to be valuable members of this council. High Arbiter Kelthus gestured for attention. The decision has been finalized. Humanity joins the Galactic Council with full rights, full privileges, and full voting authority. They retain complete sovereignty over their military assets and territorial claims. In exchange, they agree to honor all council laws regarding peaceful exploration, fair trade practices, protection of developing civilizations, and resolution of disputes through diplomatic channels before military action. Green nodded formally. On behalf of the United Nations of Earth and all humanity, we accept these terms. We pledge to uphold these principles. We also offer our assistance in any conflict or situation where our unique capabilities might help preserve peace rather than wage war. The formal ceremony continued for another hour. There were speeches from various representatives. Some welcomed humanity warmly, others were clearly skeptical. But the decision was made and could not be reversed without another full council vote. After the public ceremony ended, Kel'Thas invited the human delegation to a private meeting room. The formal diplomatic posturing was gone. The High Arbiter looked tired and older than before. "Ambassador, I must ask you something in private. What would you have done if the council had refused your terms completely?" Green smiled slightly. "We would have returned to Earth and continued our expansion into space independently. The galaxy is vast, High Arbiter. There is plenty of room for humanity to grow and explore, without interfering with Council territory. Though I suspect we would have encountered each other again eventually, and perhaps under less friendly circumstances than these. You were taking a significant gamble. The Council might have viewed your independent expansion as a threat and moved to contain you through military force. We have done so before with other resistant species." Morrison spoke up respectfully. "With all due respect, High Arbiter, that would have been a catastrophic mistake. The Valiant is actually our smallest class of battleship. We currently have 30 more in service, each one more advanced than the last. Our shipyards are producing 2 new vessels every month. If the Council had chosen war, you would probably have won eventually through sheer numbers and resources. But the cost would have been devastating for both sides. Millions would have died. Entire star systems might have been destroyed. The patterns on Kel'Thas's skin swirled with what might have been amusement or concern. You prepared for war while negotiating for peace. That is very human, Green replied calmly. We prefer to call it being prepared for any contingency. Humanity learned long ago to hope for the best but prepare for the worst. That philosophy has kept us alive through countless dangers. And now, what are humanity's true goals within the Council? To learn, to grow, to contribute positively to galactic civilization. Earth spent too long divided and fighting over limited resources. We finally learned that 2 months had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council. Ambassador Green had returned to Earth to brief the government leaders. The Valiant remained at the Council station as a permanent embassy ship. Captain Carter and her crew had settled into their new role as representatives of humanity. Life at the station was fascinating. Every day brought new encounters with alien species. Some were friendly and curious about humans. Others were cautious or even hostile. But everyone followed the Council rules. Violence was strictly forbidden within the station. Carter was in her ready room reviewing reports when Morrison entered. He looked concerned. Captain, we have a situation developing. The Council has received a distress call from a colony world on the Outer Rim. A species called the Kralgon has attacked the settlement. The Council is organizing a response force. They want to know if humanity will participate. Carter set down her tablet. This would be our first military action as Council members. What do we know about the Kralgon? They are raiders. They attack weaker settlements and steal resources and sometimes take prisoners as slaves. The Council has been trying to stop them for decades, but they always retreat before Council forces can engage. They are fast and unpredictable. And the colony that was attacked? A peaceful farming settlement. Mostly families. They have no military forces. The Kralgon hit them hard. Many casualties. The survivors are hiding and waiting for help. Carter stood up and walked to the window. She could see other Council ships docked at various ports around the station. How many ships is the Council sending? 12 ships. They expect the Kralgon will retreat as soon as they arrive. Standard procedure is to scare them off and then provide aid to the survivors. That sounds like a pattern. The raiders attack, the Council responds slowly, the raiders escape, then they just do it again somewhere else. Nothing really changes. Morrison nodded. That seems to be how it works. The Council prefers to avoid direct conflict when possible. They see their role as peacekeepers, not warriors. Carter turned back to face him. Well, humanity has a different philosophy. If someone attacks innocent people, you do not just scare them away. You stop them permanently. Tell the council we will participate. But we do things our way. The council coordinator might object to that, Captain, then they can object. We joined as equals, not subordinates. We will follow their laws, but we will not follow foolish tactics that let criminals escape justice. Prepare the ship for combat operations. This is exactly the kind of situation where our capabilities can make a real difference. 4 hours later, the Valiant joined the Council response fleet. The other ships were various designs from different species. They all had one thing in common. They looked like they were built for show rather than for fighting. Sleek, elegant, but not particularly intimidating. The Valiant looked different. It was all sharp angles and heavy armor. It looked like exactly what it was. A warship built by a species that understood violence. The fleet commander was a Xinthian officer named Velcor. He contacted the Valiant as they entered hyperspace. Captain Carter, I am glad to have human representation in this operation. However, I must emphasize that we follow strict rules of engagement. We use minimum necessary force. We avoid casualties when possible. We prioritize protecting civilians over punishing aggressors, Carter responded calmly. Commander Velcor, humanity agrees with protecting civilians. That is our top priority as well. However, we may have different ideas about how to handle the raiders. If you want them to stop attacking settlements, you need to make them afraid to do it. Scaring them away just means they will hit somewhere else next week. There was a pause. The Council does not approve of revenge or excessive punishment. We believe in rehabilitation when possible. This is not about revenge. It is about deterrence. If criminals know they can escape without consequences, they will keep committing crimes. But we will follow your lead, Commander. Just be prepared for humanity to demonstrate our own methods if the situation requires it. The fleet arrived at the attacked colony 6 hours later. The settlement was still burning. Bodies lay in the streets. The Kralgon ships were gone, having retreated as soon as they detected the approaching Council fleet. Blake was tracking the raider ships. Captain, I have their trajectory. They are heading toward an asteroid field about 3 light-years from here. That must be their base. Commander Velcor's voice came over the communication channel. All ships begin rescue and recovery operations. Medical teams deploy to the surface. Security teams search for survivors. As expected, the raiders have fled. We will file a report and increase patrols in this sector. Carter looked at Morrison. That is it? They just let them go? Apparently so. Standard Council procedure. Not anymore. Blake, confirm those coordinates. Grant, prepare weapons. Morrison, you have tactical command. We are going after them. Commander Velcor's voice was sharp with alarm. Captain Carter, what are you doing? The mission is complete. We do not pursue raiders into uncharted territory. It is too dangerous and goes against our protocols. Commander, with respect, your protocols are why these raiders keep attacking. They know you will not chase them. They know there are no real consequences. Humanity is going to teach them a different lesson. You are welcome to join us, or you can continue your rescue operations here. The choice is yours. I cannot authorize this action. You are violating Council procedures. Then do not authorize it. This is a human operation. We take full responsibility. Blake, jump to hyperspace. Follow those raiders. The Valiant leaped into hyperspace, leaving the Council fleet behind. 3 hours later, they emerged near the asteroid field. Blake's sensors immediately picked up multiple ships hiding among the rocks. Confirmed. 16 Kralgon vessels. They are trying to hide their signatures, but I can track them. They do not know we are here yet. Good. Morrison, analysis please. The commander studied his tactical display. Their ships are old and poorly maintained, fast but lightly armed. They rely on speed and surprise. In a straight fight, any one of them would be no match for us. All 16 together might be slightly more challenging, but not seriously threatening. Carter thought carefully about what to do. She did not want to just destroy them. That would make humanity look like brutal killers. But she also wanted to send a clear message that attacking innocent people had consequences. Blake, open a channel to the raiders. All frequencies channel open, Captain. Kralgon vessels. This is Captain Helen Carter of the human battleship Valiant. You recently attacked a peaceful settlement, killed innocent civilians, and stole their property. The Galactic Council considers this a serious crime. Humanity considers it an unforgivable act of violence against defenseless people. You have one opportunity to surrender peacefully. Power down your weapons, drop your shields, and prepare to be taken into custody. You have 60 seconds to comply. If you attempt to flee or fight, we will disable your vessels by force. Choose wisely. For several seconds, there was no response. Then the raider ships suddenly burst from their hiding places among the asteroids. All 16 ships activated their weapons and charged toward the Valiant at maximum speed. Morrison shook his head. Wrong choice. Grant, disable their engines. Use precision strikes. I want them alive but helpless. What happened next took less than 30 seconds. The Valiant's point defense system tracked all 16 ships simultaneously. Precise railgun fire struck each ship's engine section. The raiders tried to dodge and weave, but the targeting was too accurate. One by one, their engines exploded or simply stopped working. The ships drifted helplessly in space. Not a single raider had managed to fire their weapons before being disabled. Blake looked at her screens in amazement. All 16 targets disabled, 0 casualties on either side. Life support systems intact on all raider vessels. That was incredible shooting. Grant smiled slightly. The targeting computer makes it easy. These ships are big and slow compared to what we train against. Carter opened the channel again. Kralgon vessels, you made the wrong choice. Your ships are now disabled, but your crews are safe. Council forces will arrive shortly to take you into custody. If you attack settlements again after you are eventually released, humanity will find you. Next time we will not be so gentle. Tell your friends. Tell everyone you know. The days of raiding with no consequences are over. Humanity is watching. Morrison contacted Commander Velcor. The raiders have been captured and are ready for pickup. All 16 vessels disabled with no casualties. Sending you the coordinates now. There was a long pause before the Xinthian commander responded. You captured 16 ships by yourself in less than a minute? That should not be possible. Perhaps your definition of possible is too limited, Commander. We will wait here until you arrive. Carter out, she turned to her crew. Well done, everyone. Today we showed the galaxy that humanity keeps its promises. We said we would help preserve peace. That is exactly what we did. 6 months had passed since the Valiant captured the Kralgon raiders. The story had spread throughout the galaxy. Every species in the Council knew about the humans who had tracked down the raiders and defeated 16 ships in less than a minute without killing anyone. The reaction was mixed. Some species praised humanity for taking decisive action. Others criticized them for violating Council procedures. But everyone agreed on one thing. The number of raids and attacks on settlements had dropped dramatically. Criminals across the galaxy had gotten the message. Humanity was watching, and humanity did not let criminals escape. Ambassador Green had returned to the Council station for an important session. She stood once again at the center platform, while representatives from hundreds of species watched. High Arbiter Kelthas looked down at her from his elevated position. Ambassador Green, the Council has asked you here to discuss humanity's recent military actions, specifically your pursuit and capture of the Kralgon raiders without proper authorization. Some representatives believe your actions violated Council protocols. They want consequences. Green stood straight and confident. High Arbiter, humanity's actions were completely consistent with our agreement. We pledged to help preserve peace. Those raiders had attacked innocent people and would have continued attacking others. We stopped them using minimum necessary force. Not a single casualty resulted from our operation. Every raider survived and was turned over to Council authorities for proper legal processing. If that violates your protocols, then your protocols need to be reconsidered. A representative from one of the older species stood up. It was the crystalline being who had questioned humanity during their acceptance ceremony. Ambassador, the issue is not whether you succeeded. The issue is that you acted without Council authorization. You pursued the raiders into territory where we have no jurisdiction. You made independent decisions that should have been approved by Council leadership. That sets a dangerous precedent. Green turned to face the crystalline being directly. Representative, with respect, humanity joined this Council as equals with full authority over our military forces. We do not require permission to defend innocent people from violent criminals. The Council response was slow and inadequate. If we had followed your procedures, those raiders would have escaped again and attacked another settlement next month. How many more people would have died while we waited for proper authorization? That is not the point. The rules exist for good reasons. Without coordination and approval, military actions can lead to chaos and escalation. Perhaps. But rules that protect criminals at the expense of victims are bad rules. Humanity will continue to act according to our principles. We will not stand by and watch innocent people suffer while bureaucrats debate proper procedures. Before the argument could continue, another representative stood up. This one was from a species that looked reptilian, with scales that changed color. Ambassador Green, I represent the farming colonies in the outer sectors, the ones that have been suffering from raids for decades. Since humanity's action against the Kralgon raiders, attacks in our sector have decreased by 80%. Criminal groups are afraid now. They know someone will actually pursue them. On behalf of my people, I want to thank humanity. You did what the council should have done years ago. Several other representatives stood up and voiced similar support. The victims of crime were grateful. They did not care about proper procedures. They cared about results. And humanity had delivered results. High Arbiter Kelthas raised his hand for silence. It is clear that the council is divided on this matter. Some believe humanity violated important principles. Others believe humanity demonstrated exactly the kind of decisive action we need. After consulting with council leadership, I propose a compromise. He paused to make sure everyone was listening. Humanity will be granted special status as a rapid response force. When criminal actions threaten council citizens, humanity will have authorization to act immediately without waiting for full council approval. However, all actions must be reported within 24 hours and must follow rules of engagement that minimize casualties. Does the council accept this proposal? The vote took several minutes as representatives consulted with their governments. In the end, the proposal passed with 70% approval. The compromise satisfied most species, though some of the oldest civilizations still looked unhappy. Green accepted the new status. High Arbiter, humanity agrees to these terms. We will act as a rapid response force when needed. We will report all actions promptly, and we will continue to minimize casualties while ensuring justice is served. After the session ended, Carter joined Green in a private observation room. They looked out at the stars through the massive transparent panels. Well, that went better than expected, Carter said. They could have voted to expel us from the council. They need us, Green replied. Whether they want to admit it or not, the council has become soft over thousands of years of peace. They have forgotten how to deal with real threats. Humanity brings something they lost: the willingness to fight when necessary. Morrison joined them at the window. Do you think we made the right choice, getting involved in galactic politics? Sometimes I wonder if we should have just stayed in our own corner of space. Carter shook her head. No. Isolation might seem safer, but it is not. Eventually, we would have encountered the council anyway. Better to join them on our own terms than to be forced into it later. Besides, we can do real good here. We can help people who need it. Green added her thoughts. Humanity has always been at its best when facing challenges. For thousands of years, we fought each other because we had no external threats. Now we have found our place. We can be the galaxy's protectors, the ones who stand up when others are afraid to act. That is a worthy purpose. Commander Vexillar approached them. He had become something of a friend to the human crew over the past months. May I join you? Of course, Commander. Please. Carter gestured to the empty space beside them. Vexillar stood with them, looking out at the stars. I wanted to tell you something. When I first scanned your ship all those months ago, I was terrified. Your technology seemed impossible. I thought you were a threat that needed to be eliminated. I was wrong. You are not a threat. You are exactly what the galaxy needs. That is kind of you to say. Green smiled. But we are still learning. We make mistakes. We are still figuring out how to use our strength wisely. The fact that you worry about using your strength wisely is exactly why you can be trusted with it. Species that do not question their own power are the truly dangerous ones. Humanity questions everything. That is your greatest strength. Blake's voice came through Carter's communication device. Captain, sorry to interrupt, but we are receiving a distress call from a mining operation near the Galactic Rim. They are under attack by unknown hostiles. The Council is assembling a response force, but it will take 6 hours to reach them. Carter looked at Green and Morrison. Well, duty calls. Ambassador, with your permission, you have full authorization under your new rapid response status. Go save those miners. Show the galaxy what humanity can do. Carter and Morrison headed back to the Valiant. Within minutes, the ship was preparing for departure. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had done this before, and would do it again. As the Valiant pulled away from the station, Carter sat in her command chair and thought about how much had changed. Less than a year ago, they had been patrolling empty space, wondering if they would ever meet aliens. Now they were part of a galactic civilization, serving as protectors for hundreds of species. The aliens had tried to scan their ship. They had discovered humanity's advanced technology. They had attacked, expecting an easy victory. That mistake had cost them their assumptions about how the universe worked. They had learned that humanity could not be dismissed or controlled, but in losing their old assumptions, the aliens had gained something valuable. They had gained a powerful ally, a species that would stand up for the weak, a species that would pursue justice even when it was difficult, a species that combined advanced technology with the hard lessons learned from thousands of years of conflict. Humanity had arrived among the stars, not as conquerors or victims, but as equals who had earned their place through demonstrated capability and chosen restraint. Blake plotted the jump to hyperspace. Morrison checked the weapon systems. Grant verified the shields. The crew was ready. All stations report ready, Captain, Blake announced. Then let us go. There are people out there who need our help, Carter said firmly. Jump to hyperspace. The Valiant leaped forward, disappearing into the bright tunnel of hyperspace. Behind them, the Council Station continued its eternal orbit around the neutron star. Ahead of them, miners waited desperately for rescue. And somewhere in between, the galaxy was slowly learning what it meant when humanity made a promise. The aliens had scanned a human battleship expecting to find primitive technology. They had found something far more dangerous, not just advanced weapons, but a species that knew how to use power responsibly, a species that would fight when necessary, but preferred peace, a species that had learned from its mistakes and was determined not to repeat them. That scan had indeed cost the aliens everything they thought they knew about the universe, but it had also